A Pentagon official has just been removed from his position in the Joint Chiefs of Staff due to his criticism of Israel and his personal issues with how they're carrying out this war against Gaza. We've talked about all of this stuff. We're about to hear from him in just a second. Now, he had posted about this on his personal social media accounts. And apparently it was so offensive that he lost his job over it. So let's talk a little bit about who this guy is. He's Colonel Nathan McCormick. According to a report from the Daily Wire and the Jewish News Syndicate, he was the Levant and Egypt branch chief at the Joint Chiefs of Staff, J5 Planning Directorate. I'm not going to pretend like I know what that is. Okay, he was in the Pentagon. All right. That's what he was doing. But more importantly, the fact that he was in the Levant and Egypt branch, I think kind of plays a role in why he ended up getting fired for his, in my opinion, common sense criticism of how Israel is carrying out some of their military action. So McCormick, who assumed his position in June 2024, had been very vocal on his opinions on Israel and Netanyahu following the October 7th attack. So here's what he posted on October 11th. Okay, I agree that Israel has an absolute right to respond militarily and that civilians may legally be caught in the crossfire. But you are ignoring the requirement of proportionality. Israel's responses always, not hyperbole, disproportionately target Palestinian civilians. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? First of all, he says Israel has a right to defend itself. It's not like he's one of these people who was like celebrating what Hamas didn't call them freedom fighters. But given how the IDF has conducted themselves in the past, I mean, I immediately had those thoughts. Like the second I saw the headlines of what Hamas was doing, I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna go after the civilians. I mean, it's gonna give Netanyahu the perfect excuse to do what he's been doing for nearly 2 years now. So he posted that again on October 11th, 2023. Prior to assuming his position, he tweeted other things such as, I've lately been considering whether we might be Israel's proxy and not realized it yet. I've definitely realized it. Our worst ally. We get literally nothing out of the partnership other than the enmity of millions of people in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. I've actually asked this question lately. In a debate I was in just recently, I'm like, okay, I mean, people keep saying Israel is our ally. I can see why we are considered an ally to Israel. We give them, $3 billion a year, just flat out. That's the default amount. In addition to tens of billions of dollars when they decide they want to carry out a genocide, that kind of stuff. What do we get in return? Oftentimes we hear that it's intel. Okay, what kind of intel do we get? The kind that claims that a Middle Eastern country that the Israeli government wants to topple is in possession of weapons of mass destruction. Is that the kind of intel we're talking about? Okay, they can keep their intel to themselves. Like I'm not interested in their intel at all. Fact of the matter is we don't get much out of that relationship. And the way Israelis talk about Americans, I have to say, disgusts me. It really does. Their entitlement, the way that they respond to or refer to Americans who do not want to get dragged into a war with Iran, the utter disrespect. Bitch, it's my money. I'm gonna say what I want to say. Unfortunately for this guy though, he ended up getting fired for it. But I want to give you some more of his criticism because who knows, maybe he said something that actually was abhorrent, okay? Because I don't want Israeli civilians to be harmed. Even though I loathe their government. I do, I loathe their government. But if he said something disgusting about Israeli civilians or wanted, violence acted upon them, obviously I would condemn it and say, you know what, not a good job for you, you should have been fired. So let's keep reading. Let's see what else he posted. The more Israel's death cult escalates towards Hezbollah, the more we will see show of force attacks like this and the 13th of April. Yeah, I mean, again, like, why is that offensive? Where is the lie? This is someone who's concerned about the blowback of Israel's actions. And the post continued while he held this, this position at the Pentagon. So here are some of the more recent posts that he had written back in April and May of this year. So look, we can't see the full context of these tweet threads because the account has since been deleted, but we'll give you what we still have access to. So he writes, Steve, the self-delusion in this series of tweets perfectly encapsulates the problem in Israeli society. The Western states go to great lengths to avoid criticism of Israel, much out of Holocaust guilt. But Israel's actions and policies deserve to be assessed critically. Wow. Very offensive. I don't know about you guys. You might be an anti-Semite. I'm kidding, obviously. I have more. Supposed democracy, Israel's actions over decades have promoted the accusations of ethnic cleansing and genocide. Israel's self-consciousness can't abide that criticism, just like its government can survive the process of achieving peace and security. And then I'll read you one more. But Netanyahu and his Judeo-supremacist cronies are determined to prolong the conflict for their own goals, either to remain in power or to annex the land. Where is the lie? And why is this offensive? Like, this is the kind of person I want working at the Pentagon. But he ends up getting fired. So his mistake, it seems, was making it known that he worked at the Pentagon. So despite some attempts to anonymize his account, he did a poor job in anonymizing his account. Let's just keep it real. But anyway, he has repeatedly revealed his name and job title on the platform and has posted photos of himself that match his LinkedIn profile and that include his uniform name tag. Guys, if you post anything online, even if you go to great lengths to make it seem like it's people will find out who you are. Like, there are ways of finding out. There was a Los Angeles Times cover. It was like a photograph of the neighborhood that I love. And it was from the 1950s. And these are people from the 1950s. And I'm like, I want to find out who they were. And I found out who they were. I found out their identities. There was nothing to go off of other than this is the general area they lived in. This is the 1950s. Boom, I found it. So it's just, be careful with what you post online because you might think that you're doing so anonymously, but if people really want to find out, they can. So the JNS also notes his biggest no-no. So other posts include descriptions of his conversations with generals in the Israeli Defense Forces, briefings from Israel's coordinator for humanitarian aid into Gaza, and aborted plans to send emails over the Pentagon's secret internet protocol router network for sharing classified information. Okay, I don't really care. But if you take a look at those posts specifically, he didn't really share much classified information, and I'm not surprised by that either. I don't think anyone had a problem with him because he shared classified information. We know why there was a problem with him. You know, he spoke up about war crimes. He spoke up critically about what Israel was carrying out. You just can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You can do that when it comes to how our government here in the United States is carrying out a war. But God forbid, you're ever critical of the IDF or the Israeli government. So he says, a buddy of mine is a general in the IDF. He told me, screw the settlers. They can be Jewish Palestinians just like the Arab Israelis. They choose to move there illegally. By the way, nice. There's an IDF soldier who says, screw the settlers. The settlers are the worst. Okay, these are the people who rioted when they found out that some of the Israeli prison guards who filmed themselves raping Palestinian prisoners might get investigated and punished. These are loathsome, disgusting people. Aside from running Palestinians out of their legal homes in the West Bank, aside from terrorizing them for decades, aside from the fact that they steal homes, build illegal settlements, they also, of course, tried to block humanitarian aid into Gaza when the Israeli government finally relented a little bit. Just loathsome, the settlers. But Nate, that was his anonymous moniker, McCormick, wrote also that it is a useful diversion for the media. But I think that if Israel escalates this into an offensive against Lebanon, this is probably when Israel was fighting Hezbollah in Lebanon, they are effed. And we have already told them that repeatedly. I was going to email you on SIPR last week, but I didn't want to email the wrong person. Wow, he sounds reckless, super reckless. Now, McCormick's profile did include a disclaimer stating that his posts do not represent the position of the department. What are you doing? Why would you do that? That gives the game away. But it's my opinions. It's not the opinion of the Pentagon. But still, his posts were apparently too much. So one Department of Defense contractor who interacted with McCormick told JNS, that's a publication, this is the kind of bitter oversharing I'd expect from someone who doesn't know better. But at his level and under his own name and likeness, it's mind-boggling. We have enough OPSEC and public perception problems. No, guys, the public perception problem with the Pentagon is the fact that you can't pass a single freaking audit. The problem with the Pentagon is that there are no brakes on the car when it comes to aiding and abetting genocide. Okay, like just stop. McCormick is like bottom of the list, very bottom of the list when it comes to people who make the Pentagon look bad. So he lost his job. He was fired. Don't criticize Israel. Apparently, there will be huge consequences for that. Just absolutely shameful. And he's right. People like to say that Israel is a vassal state of the United States. That is such a laugh. It's the other way around.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.